Well, hey parents, my name is Taylor Brent and I am the youth pastor, student pastor at Memorial Baptist Church in Pasadena, Texas. And with this craziness that's going on right now in our country with COVID-19, I wanted to do something new, something different, and come to you because now, probably more than ever since the beginning of Christianity, you have never been more important, right? Usually I would have 1 or 2 weeks with your students to teach, to encourage, to empower, but that solely falls on you now, right, as parents. And I've had this belief since I started in student ministry over a decade ago that the parents, if I can get the parents on board with raising their students in the way that they should go, their students would grow up with a faith that was unshakable. And so that's always been my goal. And again, now more than ever, you are important. And so the spirituality in your house is important. How you direct your students, how you lead your students, how you empower your students, how you pray with your students, how you read the Bible with your students is so important. And so my job and my goal is just to encourage you. And I know that some of you are sitting there and you're saying this kid is what, 27? He only has 2 little small boys. What does he know? But again, I've been in student ministry for over a decade now, working with students, working with parents, working with children, and I am immersed in the study of raising teens, how to lead them, how to teach them, how to grow them in their faith. And so I have a little bit of knowledge in that area. And so with a little bit of knowledge in that area, I really just want to empower you guys because you guys are on the front lines. I get to teach and go back home, and you guys have to live with your students. And ultimately, it is on you when your children grow up and they leave your household until what kind of adults they will become. And so we want to help you in that. And so welcome to the first edition of Taylor Talks Teens. And so I hope this is beneficial for you. And so you can let me know in the comments, or you can respond to me. My email is taylor@mymdcp.com. And so you give me a shout out. I would love to talk with you if you have any suggestions or questions. And so my first discussion today is simply technology, because it is everywhere, right? This is how I can talk to you right now. It's how I can communicate with you through your phone or your website or your computer, or however you're accessing this podcast. Technology is a big part of our lives, and is a big part of your student life. And you can go look on any research database you want to. It clearly states that teenagers now, about 95% of students have a smartphone in their back pocket. And that's not to mention tablets or laptops or desktops or all those wide array of technology. And so technology is huge, and it's huge, especially when it comes to raising teenagers. And so there's a couple of things that I think you need to know. We did this series called Guardrails a couple of years ago, and it's a series that I love, but it really just empowers us that we need guardrails in our life. If we want to avoid mistakes, we need to make sure there's a guardrail to keep us from going over the edge into the water or down the hill, which will eventually lead to a mistake or regret in our life. And so we want to avoid regret. And so what guardrails do you have set up for your students? And now this is a touchy topic, right? Because technology is hard, parenting is hard, parenting technology is even harder. And so what can you do? Well, I got 3 steps that I think that can help you and help us as we parent through COVID-19, as we parent through technology. So number 1 is engage in frequent conversations about media, right? About not only what your students are on, right? Whether it's social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and wide array of other apps that they are on, right? Have conversations about what are the apps they are on, what are they using, the technology in their bedroom, right? Netflix, what's on their TV, the YouTube channels they are watching. What are you watching? Having conversations with them will go a long way. It will open up this dialogue between you and your student that will convince them, and hopefully it's true in your house, that they can ask you about anything. About an app that they want to download, about a video that they watch that they might not understand, about a comment that somebody makes on social media. And so having those conversations about, man, what do you want today? What did you read today that was interesting? What did you find funny? And so making sure that line of communication is open. So having those conversations. Number two, co-viewing. Being a co-partner, co-viewing with your student is very important. What are they watching? Are you watching it with them? Now, it's very important that our students are filling their minds, their hearts, and their bodies, same as us adults, with things that glorify God, right? Scripture goes on and on about that. Because what goes into our body eventually comes out of our heart and comes out of our mouth, right? And so filling ourselves with what is godly is very important. But going right now and just telling your students, no, you can't watch this and this will probably have a negative effect. So I would start with co-viewing. What are your students watching? And can you watch it with them? And then have conversations. If something comes up that's inappropriate, well, man, how can that start a conversation in your house about what they're viewing? Simply going to them and say, hey, can we watch this show together? It's a great way to start. So co-viewing. And then number three, don't be afraid to set realistic boundaries. Don't be afraid to set realistic guardrails. It's your job to protect your students. It's your job to protect your children. And so as a parent, sometimes you know this, you have to be maybe not the bad guy, but you have to set those boundaries to protect them. And so what are the boundaries that you can protect? For some of you, you need to make sure your students are not going to bed with their cell phones. I can tell you first and foremost, one of the biggest problems I deal with students is the problem of pornography, and the biggest area or the biggest danger where that comes into play is at night when the parents have gone to bed and they are up with internet access in their bedroom where no one else is. And that's women, girls, and men and boys. And so taking your students' phones away when they go to bed, they don't need it, right? It's one more thing to keep their brain occupied before they go to sleep and maybe not get a good night's sleep. And so what are those realistic boundaries that you have set? Some of you have already set some, and so I would love to hear some of those. So if this, you have a comment, I would love to hear that comment as well. Maybe what has worked in your household. Maybe for some of you, I have Xfinity and they don't support me. Shout out Xfinity, they've been great. But maybe Xfinity, and so with the Xfinity, I can set boundaries to what websites, when people come to my house, no matter who it is, there's boundaries on what websites they can go to on my Wi-Fi. And so maybe for you, it's setting those boundaries on your Wi-Fi. Maybe for you, it's saying on Netflix, what age restrictions can they watch? Because again, on Netflix, there are some things that just aren't suitable for students to watch, or suitable for adults to watch. But that's a whole nother story, right? And so what boundaries realistically can you set? So those three things I think can go a long way in helping you as a parent through this phase of COVID-19 and technology. And so guys, I'm praying for you. I hope that you are excelling right now at loving on your students, spending time with your students, making memories that will last a lifetime. And so until next time, this was Taylor Talks Teens. We'll see you next time. Peace.